Ever wondered how a treaty meant for peace ignited a world war? Welcome to Class Bites. Today, we're diving into the harsh reality of the Treaty of Versailles and how it paved the way for Germany's aggressive expansion. What happens when a nation's ambition, fueled by a doctrine of racial supremacy and a deep-seated resentment, decides that international law is merely an obstacle to be shattered? The years following the Great War were meant to usher in an era of lasting peace, but the very treaty designed to secure it contained the seeds of a future, more devastating conflict. In Germany, the Treaty of Versailles was not seen as a foundation for peace, but as a national humiliation, a punitive decree that crippled its military and stripped it of territory. It was this widespread sentiment of injustice that provided fertile ground for the rise of radical right-wing parties throughout the 1920s and early 1930s. Among these, Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party proved most adept at channeling this public anger, building a platform on the promise of one central, overriding goal: to overturn the military and territorial provisions of the treaty and restore Germany to its perceived rightful place of power. For Hitler, this was not merely a political objective. It was a foundational priority, the first step in a grander, more sinister vision of conquest. Once the Nazis seized totalitarian power in Germany in 1933, this revisionist agenda became state policy. Hitler's foreign policy was driven by an overriding ambition for territorial expansion, a quest justified by the ideological principle of Nazism known as Lebensraum. This concept, translating simply to living space, was far more than a call for more territory. It was a core tenet of Nazi belief, a supposed biological and racial necessity for the Aryan people. Hitler argued that for the German peoples to achieve economic self-sufficiency and ultimate military security, they required vast new lands, particularly in Central and Eastern Europe. This pursuit of Lebensraum, intertwined with the desire to reunite all German-speaking peoples under a single Reich, provided the ideological justification for a set of aggressive strategies that would systematically dismantle the post-war order and set the world on a path to war. The undoing of the Versailles provisions was the essential prerequisite, the breaking of the chains that would allow Germany to embark on its fated war of expansion. The first and most audacious violations were aimed directly at the military clauses of the treaty, which had been designed to keep Germany's armed forces permanently weakened. As early as 1933, Hitler issued a secret order to his army generals, commanding them to prepare to triple the size of the army to 300,000 men, a flagrant defiance of the strict limitations imposed. The pace of this rearmament accelerated dramatically. On the 26th of February 1935, the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, was officially established, a direct contravention of the treaty, which had forbidden Germany from maintaining any air force whatsoever. Less than a month later, on the 16th of March 1935, Hitler took an even more provocative step by publicly reintroducing military conscription. In the same breath, he announced an astonishing expansion of the German army to more than 500,000 men. This open repudiation of Germany's international obligations was a clear signal of his intentions. By 1939, the results of this relentless rearmament were staggering. The German armed forces had swelled to include around 1.4 million men, transforming the nation back into a formidable military power poised for aggression. With a newly formidable military at his command, Hitler began to methodically reclaim and conquer territory, each move a calculated test of European resolve. In 1935, he unilaterally canceled all the military clauses of the Versailles Treaty, formalizing the rearmament that was already well underway. The following year, he delivered another stunning blow to the international order. On the 7th of March 1936, Hitler denounced the Locarno Pact, a series of agreements intended to guarantee peace in Western Europe, and ordered the Wehrmacht, the German armed forces, to march into the Rhineland. This region had been designated a demilitarized zone by the Treaty of Versailles to act as a buffer between Germany and France, and its remilitarization was a profound and direct threat. 2 years later, in 1938, Nazi Germany burst out of its established territories with even greater force. Hitler broke the Treaty of Versailles yet again by orchestrating an invasion of Austria and declaring the Anschluss, the political union of the two nations, effectively absorbing Austria into the German Reich. Before that year was over, he was applying the same strategy of intimidation and aggression to the Sudetenland, a border region of Czechoslovakia with a large ethnic German population that the Treaty of Versailles had given to the newly formed state. Piece by piece, the map of Europe was being redrawn by force. The culmination of these expansionist policies, which had systematically disregarded treaties and international agreements, led inexorably to the outbreak of the Second World War. The invasion of Poland on the 1st of September 1939 was the pivotal moment, the act of aggression that finally exhausted the patience of the Allied powers. Convinced by the pattern of broken promises and escalating conquests that Hitler would not negotiate in good faith, Britain and France had taken the critical step of guaranteeing the integrity of Polish territory against German aggression. They had drawn a line in the sand. With Hitler utterly determined to attack Poland and seize his coveted living space in the East, Europe found itself on the brink of war in the late summer of 1939. When German forces stormed across the Polish border, that brink was crossed. In response to this final, unambiguous act of conquest, Britain and France fulfilled their promise and declared war on Germany, igniting a global conflict that would eclipse the horrors of the first and reshape the world. Thanks for watching. Do not like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts or what you'd like to see next.